Good evening. Out of Shape, Worthless Loser by Gracie Gold, a memoir of figure skating, being up and figuring it out. A read-through with Kelly commentates. Copyright 2024, published in the United States by Crown, an imprint of Crown Publishing Group, a division of Penguin Random House LLC, New York. I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave it where it found us. Anne Lamott. Author's note. Putting my story down in writing was my way of processing a journey that has encompassed the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I've done my best to be factual and fair in my recounting of the people and events that shaped my skating and how these people and events impacted my life. I have changed some names to keep the focus on my experience and on the change I'd like to make in a system rigged toward those with power to silence others. My perspective is my own, shaped inexorably by my struggles with depression, anxiety, disordered eating, and traumas, including SA and SI, that are described in these pages. I can appreciate how the more you can relate to any of these subjects, the harder the book you hold in your hands might be to read. If that's the case, please proceed with caution, care, and self-compassion. Prologue. My days were meant to be filled with polishing my programs for the upcoming Winter Olympics, wrapping up interviews with the national and international media, and awaiting the television rollout of Olympic promotional spots that I had already starred in. Instead, I was in a recovery center, surrounded by heroin addicts and meth users and self-harmers. I was just starting to process how my career as an Olympic figure skater had turned me into a bright, shiny object to be gazed at and admired, only to shatter me in the process. In the communal area of a dorm best described as motor inn chic, I stared at my newest assignment, write a letter to my addictions. September 2017. Dear Skating, I am writing to you because I cannot decide if I hate you or if I love you. You are a part of me, my identifier to the world. You are my esteem, my joy, my sense of self, all tied up in one. I hate you, but I cannot leave you. I was so excited to meet you. Just one lap around the rink, and I was home. You made me feel special. Some people even said that you made me extraordinary. You've brought me to places I never dreamed of, but you were a double-sided coin. You've brought me across the world. You brought me so much passion and love. You've introduced me to the most amazing people. You've exposed me to once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. I flourished under your guidance and love, but I was also crushed by the weight of your expectations. I abused your love and became addicted to your rush. I watched as you ripped apart my family and others, destroyed my life, and brought me to lows I didn't know were possible. You are the mask I wear the most. Who am I under it? I have no idea. It's time to say goodbye to this relationship. My toxic shame spiral will continue no more. I will not let you ruin my life. For what? More medals? Fame? Money? I've come to realize I am exceptional with or without you. You introduced me to an eating disorder, alcohol, depression, anxiety, and perfectionism. The combination almost killed me. I wanted it to kill me. But now I am awake. I am alive and do not need you. You are no longer the only facet of my life. You're just a tiny carrot in the beautiful diamond ring that is my life now. I can't imagine my life without you, but I'm going to try. Goodbye, my dear friend. A handwriting analyst might have concluded from the paragraphs of left slanting letters that my childhood left me severely emotionally repressed. Exquisitely trained is the preferred wording in the skating world. Over many years, I had been painstakingly conditioned to make people feel something when I was on the ice, but to do that required stuffing down my own emotions. I can't do that anymore, and I won't. Accessorizing the truth. It's so on brand that my skating origin story, the one that I've recited more than the Pledge of Allegiance, is a fabrication, a tale spun from granules of truth into an easily digestible cotton candy anecdote. But if I'm going to offer up the truth of my life now, I can't approach this as I did too many failed triple jumps over the years, nervous and afraid of looking bad. I've committed to telling every last part, no matter how anxious it makes me. I can feel a neck rash forming already. I might as well start from the beginning, with the story that I've always told. A boy in my class invited me to his birthday party at a sparkling new rink in Springfield, Missouri, shortly before I turned 8. That much is true. But when I laced up my rental boots and jumped on the ice, it wasn't my first time on skates, as I've made it sound in the past. I had teetered as a 2-year-old on a frozen pond near our house when we were living in Massachusetts. That experience was a nightmare, reducing me to a shivering puddle of tears. But a few years later, I was in my element in the music box that was Springfield's Jordan Valley Ice Park Rink, which pulsed with pop hits like Justin Timberlake's Rock Your Body. Given the town's conservatism, it was like having bootleg music flow from the speakers. The Springfield of my youth was the kind of place where dinner at a friend's house was preceded by everyone joining hands in a circle and singing God Bless America. The rink offered me an alternative world, one that paired the freedom of movement, including flight, with shocking lyrics like, "Just wanna rock you, girl. I'll give you whatever you have. Come on, just give it a whirl." The story that I told for years was that on my way out of the rink that day, I picked up a flyer advertising skating lessons and begged my mom to sign me up. Yeah, no. The flyer that caught my eye was for hockey lessons. I was rough and tumble. My best friends were almost exclusively boys. I wanted to chase the puck, not perfection, on the ice. But hockey lessons were a non-starter for my mom, who shuddered at the thought of the aggressions that I might unleash with a stick in my hand. She and my father often told the story of how, when I was 6 or 7 and playing soccer on a co-ed team, I ran neck and neck with a boy who positioned himself between me and the loose ball. I whacked him across the face with my arm to knock him out of the way and got my foot on the ball first, but my triumph was short-lived. The boy sobbed, and I received a red card from the referee, resulting in an automatic ejection. I couldn't help but detect a note of pride in my parents' voices every time they trotted this story out at parties. My competitiveness was something that could set me apart if it was channeled correctly. On the drive home, I asked my mom why I had been pulled from the game, because I honestly had no idea. She took her eyes off the road long enough to swivel her head and stare at me. "Gracie, you punched a boy," she said. "You cannot do that." So yes, skating lessons struck my mother as the preferable option. It was a competitive outlet that seemed safe, respectable even. Gracie Goon was not a persona she wished to encourage. I became a figure skater because those sparkly sequin dresses offered camouflage for my inner tomboy and cover for my impulse control issues. On the ice, the only person I could hurt was myself. So completely did I internalize my sanitized origin story that my recollections of that soccer game, indeed of my life before the birthday skating party, are foggy. That hockey story, for example, had completely slipped my mind until my mom brought it up recently in a conversation. If it's hard for me to keep track of what's real and what's fake, it's because figure skating has split me into 3 people. There's my public self, Gracie Gold, an Olympic bronze medalist and 2-time national champion who wore designer costumes and drew comparisons to Grace Kelly with her platinum blonde bun and carefully applied mask of mascara, red lipstick, and a permafrost smile. There's my private self, Grace Elizabeth, an artsy eccentric who lives in baggy sweatpants and oversized sweatshirts and sneakers with no socks, crochets granny hats and scarves in her free time, wears no makeup, and never leaves home without her vape. Then there's my secret self, out-of-shape, worthless loser, a judgmental perfectionist whose self-destructive tendencies nearly killed me. Throughout my life, each of these personas has dominated at different times. This memoir is my attempt to reconcile these selves into a single being. She might be messy, but at least she'll be me.